This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded March 31st, 2014, episode 191, optional Olent Obreption.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Hey Chris, what's happening there in Cleveland, Ohio?
Not much. I finally got a new chair for my workbench that I built so many moons ago.
Excellent. Is it on wheels or is it a?
It's on wheels. I got the little. It's a drafting chair. I had this realization. I was looking for tall chairs. All these different search terms online and everything else. That's the search word you have to look for is drafting chair.
Oh, okay. Drafting chair, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine's just like a cocktail. Mine's just like a bar chair, like, one of those swivel.
Like a stool?
Yeah, a stool. A bar stool kind of thing, so.
Yeah. There's a whole range of them, and it's got like a little footrest, and it's actually padded, so I can sit here for more than an hour without having to get up and do a little dance.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
How many hours do you actually spend at the bench?
Well, when I'm doing like work or consulting or anything like that, then it can get up into the many hours.
Yep.
Like on a show night, like when we record, I'm sitting here for the hour and a half that we usually talk, and then
that's right. Because you're actually in your lab, aren't you? Not which is different to me. I'm not in my recording studio. Isn't the lab? It's my study. It's my recording studio. Right. So. Whereas I spend most of the day in here because it's where the computer is and it's where the internet is, and yep.
And that is the bringer of knowledge.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or the biggest time waster ever invented, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, that's it gets tough sometimes. I mean, how have you been handling that?
Working from home, it's a time sink. Because I've got to have the internet open in front of me because I'm researching stuff. So I've got to have 20 different tabs open with all the data sheets and whatnot there. And it's like, I'll just go check forum for 5 minutes, and I'll just go check this, or I'll just search for this, or an hour later you've just pissed away because. You just get
my
carried
fiance
away.
sent me this article about how the internet messes with your brain or something like that. Oh, it's called.
Right.
There's an article. Yeah, it says, "Does online life give you popcorn brain?" I didn't.
Oh, okay. As in jumping from one thing to the other.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, basically, the idea is the internet gives you all this instant gratification. Like, we talk about Twitter, right? So I say something like, "Oh, I need help finding a new CAD package," and within maybe 20 minutes, I'll have 10 people saying, "Oh, I'd try this, try that."
Yeah,
or I did that with revision control. I asked about that last week. What?
So you've got to go check out each one, right?
Right, exactly. But it's like this instant response, and your brain just goes crazy. It's just so much dopamine. Like, get another hit, post something else, another hit. It's like it makes sense from a biological perspective. Like, it's addictive, right? So there's an actual
absolutely
internet addiction. But at the same time,
it's real,
When she sent this to me in a very accusatory manner, I said, "What am I supposed to do? That's where they keep all the data sheets. That's where I communicate with people about."
That's the problem. Yeah. You have to be in there to do your work, and yet that's the thing that sucks all your time. Like,
well,
I don't know. You've got to be. I try to be. I try not to go search Wiki or something like that. Oh, well, no. Or even if you are researching something and you end up in Wiki, all those seductive hyperlinks,
Oh, yeah. Where you just go link after link after link.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That's the thing that made the internet, isn't it? Hyperlinks was the, was the big thing. Well, that actually, the web, that actually made the web. It made it so easy to jump from one thing to the other, and that's its downfall too.
Yep.
When it's sucking your life away.
Yeah, so I always wonder about that too, because you read these studies about at least with double E's, right? So all the old double E's aren't online at all. It's like, okay, I get that, but they're not online in the same capacity other people are, but I guarantee they're on there getting data sheets.
Oh, of course.
Checking E-times or EDN or anything like that. That's just how people commute, or that's how they get information these days. It's kind of hard to avoid unless you're still getting data books, which I don't think a lot of people are.
Oh, no. But we're more of the social nerd, aren't we? Because we participate in forums and whatnot. Yeah. I mean, I've been on forums since, 12, 13, 14 years or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
However long they first started.
Yeah,
I've been on them for a long time.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me
about the
social
aspect.
You told me about the Usenet groups. Because when Bob Peace died, you said, I'll post this to Usenet.
Yeah, and there's a lot of old timers still on Usenet. So
what was the actual board it was that you...
Sci Electronics Design News Group. Okay. So sci.electronics.design. So
yeah, and there's a whole bunch of them. Google Groups you can do with that kind of thing. I've never really done that before.
You can do it using Google Groups, but if you use Google Groups, most of the old timers will just block anyone from Google Groups, so they won't even see your messages. Because that's where all the spam comes from. So
because
they hate Google. If you're a Google grouper, you get no respect whatsoever. So and I switched over to using Google Groups, but if you've been on there a long time, they will put you on their whitelist so that they can read your messages because you're well respected and you're not just a dumb Google grouper.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
Right, is it like because people come in and just ask like these new questions?
Yeah, these idiots, they don't understand what actual Usenet is. So you get all these young snot-nosed idiots coming on thinking that, it's Google Groups and and it really riles up all the old-timers. It's not Google Groups, it's Usenet, and they get angry
this is my
and they
internet.
say, piss off. Yeah, exactly. I've been on here for 20 years. Piss off, it's Google Groups. And, that changed the entire... Google Groups changed the landscape of Usenet. So...
That's interesting. That's how you said you've talked to Win Hill before, right?
Yes, I've talked to him.
I think you were mentioning that two episodes ago.
Win Hill's a regular on the side.
Yeah. That's cool. It's like the kind of like the back-end channel of the EE world.
Yes, it is. It's kind of like a back-end channel.
That's cool. Of course, now we're going to have, all the Amp Hour people go through there, hopefully.
For sure.
There will be the Google groupers that get ostracized, and then the Amp Hour listeners that all come in at once.
Right. Guys,
trickle in. We'll start giving out numbers.
But most of the people left on there are just all the old timers, so... There's very few new people coming through and actually stay around on those sort of groups. It's pretty much just the old timers, really. So.
I used that when I was at one of my former co-ops. I was doing FPGA work, and I had the same kind of interaction with more experienced engineers.
Yeah.
But the thing I don't like about all those like Usenet boards and everything, it seemed like anytime I search for my email address on Google, that's always the thing that comes up. That's always the thing that's like causing spam for me. So I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
But the ironic part of it is that if you use Google Groups, you don't get any of that spam. It's brilliant.
Oh.
So, Google Groups is actually a great way to use Usenet, except nobody listens to you because you're blocked. But apart from that, it's actually a nice interface. That's why I started to use it before all the spam stuff, before the spammers discovered that you can spam Usenet via Google Groups, and then it just went downhill. But speaking of pissing away time, we've just pissed away 10 minutes on something that wasn't even on the list, as we tend to do each week.
That's okay.
That's a given every week, isn't it?
Organic,
we start out the show. It's organic, right? As the wank word, right?
It's organic, man.
Yeah, we don't just jump into the list, do we? Well,
and sometimes,
what's on the list?
we have guests call in unexpectedly, and we just gotta talk
Randy
to them for a
last
while.
week, that just came out of nowhere.
That guy was
literally
crazy.
He's freaky.
Hope he doesn't call back.
I hope he doesn't call back. I think he's had his 5 minutes of fame.
Okay, that's good.
All right. What do we got? We got any shout-outs?
We had one shout-out, maybe two. I want to give a shout-out personally. So I wrote over the weekend, about Bob Peace dying. Obviously, we talked about that last week. And, I really hadn't thought about it until I was writing about it, but I kind of lost, like, two electrical engineer writer heroes of mine. Jim and Bob both were writers and engineers. And so kind of like looking at the ones that kind of brought up the third spot was actually Junko Yoshida from EE Times. She's actually the editor-in-chief. I don't know. But I just wanted to give a shout-out to her because she wrote this piece about Japan. She went to visit her mom over in Japan. And this thing read like a New York Times article. It was just like brilliantly written and like really touching and kind of creepy even just because of how she wrote it. So I'll link it in there. But I mean, she's basically my my number one must-read column these days. I don't know if you have anyone like that other than reading my stuff.
Yeah, probably not really, because I'm not into writing and that sort of stuff. I suck at it. You know, I've written a bunch of articles over the years, but I think I suck at it. My English skills are absolutely terrible. My wordsmith skill, I don't know, what's the word? Wordsmith?
Literary?
What's the... Literary skills, yes. Yeah. Thank you. See, I even suck at that, even knowing the term, so... That's how bad I am. So yeah, I'm always jealous of people who can write really well like that. Write eloquently and yeah.
You talking about me? Are you talking about me now?
No, I'm afraid not. I don't read your column. Sorry.
No, that's all right, buddy. That's all right.
No, you write pretty well, so that's good. It's a very good skill to have. I found though it's a skill that doesn't help in your report writing. Or something like that. It's a different, engineering reports. Say if you're
anything,
working for a company,
it makes you ramble. It makes you,
Yeah, I'm actually quite good at doing reports and stuff like that. But yeah, when I have to write one of those really wordy, feely, New York Times style articles, I just wouldn't be able to do it. So.
Yeah,
pretty envious as usual.
Junko writes a lot of good stuff too. Her article caught my eye today because she was writing about Freescale. And, they just had this the Freescale Tech Forum where they always have, like, this monster... It's kind of like that Renesas one you went to. Real similar, like, very specific to the vendor.
Right, okay.
They'll bring in third-party vendors, but they're really just there supporting the main vendor. Sure. And, I don't know. She always just writes great stuff about that one, so I like that one, too, because she... reading about Freescale is its own thing, because Freescale is kind of like watching a plane crash.
Right.
I mean, those guys.
They're a massive company, Freescale. Are they still number one? Well, no. They're number two in microcontrollers, Freescale. So they are still massive, right?
They are huge. They're huge. Yeah. But and I mean they've just been they're a sinking ship basically. I mean,
okay.
Anyway,
in terms of losing money, I don't know. I haven't followed it for quite a long time.
Well, we talked about that on here.
They's bleeding cash, are they?
I mean, they're a monster.
They're more than bleeding; they're
fabs.
hemorrhaging cash.
Hemorrhaging cash. There you go. They're a monster company, but they just have because they got bought out and now they went public again. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. They went public, even though, and they lost all this money. They got bought for $17 billion, and now they just went public for $1 billion. So it's like, hey, where'd that $16 billion go?
Oops.
So it's all they're just they're a train wreck. I've used three different analogies of transportation crashing, but they are they're a mess. So. Anyways,
good on you,
that's what caught my eye, and that's why I was talking about Junko. So,
sweet,
yeah.
All right.
The other quick shout out was for Amazon. If people don't know, I don't know if you knew about this, Dave.
Amazon?
But if you're a student,
why are we shouting out to Amazon?
It's not really a shout out so much as like a life hack. I found out about this, and I used it to get this chair I'm on. So if you're a student, or if you just have a student email address, as I might possibly have,
right.
They give you Amazon Prime for a year, so I got like $4 shipping. It was awesome. So if people don't know about that, I thought that was sweet.
Amazon Prime, what's that?
You don't
never
have that?
Heard of it. No.
Oh. You get like free 2-day shipping on everything, and you get like $4 1-day shipping from Amazon.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. So. See, that means nothing to us because Amazon won't ship shit here. They'll only ship books and CDs. That's it.
Oh, that sucks.
They won't actually ship products here. So it's
that sucks.
Dumb. Yeah. I know, it's stupid.
Well, never mind then. I guess shout out withdrawn.
Right.
Not that
because
it was
it's not Australian compatible. It's not world.
Right.
I don't know if it's just I think it's other countries. I'm sure it's other countries as well who they won't ship any electronic items at all. You can't go and buy a camera or something like that from Amazon or a multimeter or something. You just can't.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you put those links on your site, you put those links. That's just for people in the U.S. that can buy electronic stuff.
That's pretty much it. And other countries who they will. Well, it also depends on the third party. I think if it goes through a third party, they might be able to sometimes ship to other countries. But definitely anything by Amazon themselves, they won't ship overseas. So
that's weird.
Except for niche stuff like the Amazon Kindle, which has a market here and stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't know. It's annoying.
Yeah, that is annoying.
Anyway, I haven't tried for a long time, but maybe they do now. I don't know. Anyway, I think they send some items, but not others. It's just crazy. Hate it. Yeah, thumbs down to Amazon.
Ooh. Sorry. Shout out withdrawn.
Excellent.
Yes. So what else we got here?
I don't know. We're not very coordinated today, are we?
No, not really.
Yeah, I don't know. We just sort of cobbled this together at the last second.
Don't you mean we've been preparing for weeks?
Of course. Yep. Well, I've been researching components again.
Yeah.
And I searched for a low-power ADC, low-power 16-bit ADC. So
this is for your secret consulting gig that no one knows about?
No comment.
Okay.
And here's a stat of the week. There are approximately, I'm not going to claim this figure is actually totally accurate, but there are 2,000.
A DigiKey figure right here.
No, this isn't. This is where DigiKey's useless. You've got to go direct to the manufacturer's website.
Oh, okay.
You can't. Yeah, they just don't have the right parametric search you need. So, no, you can't. You just use DigiKey and cheat here. There's 2,412 ADC devices on the market from 24 different manufacturers. There you go.
Wow, so roughly 100 ADCs average per manufacturer.
Yeah, roughly. Some have 500 plus ADCs.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure the big ones.
Yeah, the big TIs and those sort of ones.
Analog and everybody else.
Maxim and analog. And yes, and that brings us to Chip of the Week.
Ooh, doing it early this week, huh?
Doing it earlier. Who cares if we put it at the end? Does it matter? Or
no,
do you
it doesn't
want to
matter
leave
to
it
me.
until the end?
That's perfect to talk about.
Right. Well, and it came down to there really is not much. Well, there's a few. There's a few. There's like half a dozen choices in the ultra low power 16-bit analog to digital converter market. And by ultra low power, I'm talking 100 microwatts, right?
Okay, 100 microwatts at a certain sample rate?
At 8 kilohertz sample rate. Okay, so, which is reasonably quick for a 16-bit converter. You can get lots of low-power 16-bit converters, but they all run at, 300 samples per second maximum or something like that. So to get a faster one than that is not easy. It comes down to, there's maybe, 8 or 10 different devices on the market out of those 2,412. And the chip of the week is, ta-da, the Analog Devices AD7691, because I found that to be the best 16-bit low-power ADC on the market. And it just so happens to be not 16 bits, it's 18 bits. So you get an extra 2 bits for free. Woo! Great. And, and it takes 108 microwatts at 8 kilohertz sample rate, which is bleeding edge stuff. It really is. I mean, as somebody on Twitter, I think, pointed out, it's like 0.1 picojoules per sample or something.
Yeah, I was just going to look at that. So
energy per sample.
So that's about, at a 2.5 volt rail, at 100 microwatts, that's what, 40 microamps? Does that sound about right?
Calculator time? Yeah.
Okay, so 40 microamps. So on a on a AA battery, what would that be? Or two AA's rather. So 40. Because I'm on Wolfram Alpha. I think we did this before, where if you type it in,
using calculators on air is pretty much a big fail.
I thought they put this in here. So sometimes they do that, but oh well. What is the current of a AA battery, or the amp hour rating of a AA battery? It's 2,500.
A AA battery is 2,800 milliamp hour.
2,800.
And we're talking 40 odd microamps because it's 108 microwatts divided by 2.5. So
right. So 2,800 divided by 0.04.
So what's 108 divided by 2.5? That's a 40-odd microamps or something.
Yeah. So that's 70,000 hours on two AAs.
70,000 hours.
70,000 hours, if that's right. So 40 microamps.
How many days does that convert to?
Divided by...
This makes for good radio.
I know, right?
Nerds on radio. That's all we do is use calculators.
That's 29. It would have been easier if Wolfram Alpha would have just told me. That's supposed to just tell me the answer. That's 2,900 days, or 365 equals 8 years.
8 years. Basically the shelf life of the battery.
Yeah, so that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Not bad. All right, way to go, Analog Devices. That's pretty cool. And so this...
Except, of course, sorry, this is a nerd electronics radio show, but you can't, unless you had a DC to DC converter in there to keep a constant voltage, you wouldn't use up all the usable capacity of the battery because its lowest voltage is 2.5 volts. So you'd probably only get like 3 months or something out of it before the battery voltage dropped to a level where the chip couldn't operate or operate within spec. So,
3 months out of 8 years? Really?
Oh, I don't know. Probably. It's going to be small because, the terminal voltage, right, of that battery is 3 volts. Chip only works down to 2.5. It's not much margin there. Oh, okay, maybe you might get a year or 6 months or something out of it, but... Yeah,
I don't know. With switchers aren't bad. I mean, they're getting switchers up to what, 95% now? I mean, like...
Oh, yeah, but then they have extra quiescent current and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, and also this wouldn't be the only thing in the system either. You're not just going to pump a signal directly into A to D. I mean, is there like a front end on this thing, or what is it?
No, it's just a differential input.
Okay.
Yeah, standard differential input, 0 to 2.5 volts. It doesn't. That's the catch too. It doesn't have an internal reference, so you got to piss away some more current with your external reference.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Bugger.
And so the app note on this thing, or the diagram, they show the single-ended differential op amp, and I've seen this circuit before. And why have I seen this circuit before, Dave?
Because you're apparently an analog guy.
No.
Or
how about specific to this situation?
You claim that you found this chip for me.
I suggested you look at the Pulsar family. Yeah, I did.
Unbelievable. I did a systematic search of 24 manufacturers.
Right.
Thank you very much.
And Chris picked this one out of the lot. Yep.
Well, you only picked the family.
There you go. Yeah,
and it's by sheer luck that it happens to be. Well, I don't know. The LT ones get very close in terms of power consumption. In fact, I think technically one of the LT parts might be slightly lower consumption, but there's...
they're both scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of how much they're actually using. So, and I mean, the other thing...
it's insanely low. It's crazy.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that is, like, I can't tell you the number of times where it's, with all this choice, I mean, that's almost the best way to do it, where you at least have a starting point, or at least a reference point. Hey, I've used blank chip before. Why don't you check around that and say, oh, no, that's not going to work for me. Then you can just throw out an entire... Like, if you had looked at that family I suggested, and then you said, no, I can't use this. This is too much, too much quiescent current, or too much, it uses too much current, or it doesn't go... You can't scale back the sample rate or something like that,
Yep.
If that was the case, then you could just throw out that whole family right away. Instead
of course, yeah.
Creating some monster spreadsheet, like I'm sure you probably had to do anyways. But
I created a smallish spreadsheet.
Oh, okay.
2 of them that had parts of interest. Yeah, I could just rule out manufacturers. Of those 24 manufacturers, they might have had. Well, some of them only had one device. It wasn't that hard to look through.
Yeah.
So but you can sort of rule out in entire families and stuff like that. So
well, tell me about that.
Not as hard.
What are some of the smaller ones? Because I know the big ones like Analog, LT, TI. They all make really great analog digital converters. All those guys do, right? What are some of the ones that maybe only make one that I might not have heard of before?
Okay, I've got a list here. I have a list. Here we go. Ones that, there's advanced linear devices. They make 6 ADCs, but you want one that makes 1. Okay, let me look down. Oh, no, there's one that makes 2. Okay. Oh, Intersil. You remember Intersil?
Yeah.
Yep, they still make ADCs, and they make 2 of them. Freescale have 1 ADC. There you go. We talked about Freescale. They've got 1 audio codec, Go figure. What do we got? NGR has got 3. Silicon Labs have 1 ADC.
Okay.
Yep. 2 ADCs from ST Micro. Wavefront is another manufacturer, which have one ADC.
Yeah.
I bet you've never heard of Wavefront.
No.
Yeah, they make audio. They make professional audio.
Okay.
ADC converters.
So they're like real niche companies, like
really niche companies. Yeah. Niche. Yeah. Niche. I love it how you say niche. But, yeah, there you go. And some of those only make one ADC or two or three.
Right. So some of them might even be like the what did we talk about last week? We talked about that with the Android chip, the fabless semiconductor companies, the ones that are just guys sitting in a office block where they're doing simulations,
Dilbert cuticle, and they simulate and they
hand it over to a fab,
send it to a fab, and that's it.
Yeah.
Bingo! You're now a chip company.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, if you got the money, you need money. Awesome. You need a lot of money, right?
Oh yeah, you need money to do it. But hey, you can. You can be one guy in a garage, rich, but you can still form your own semiconductor company.
Yeah,
it's great.
Speaking of Touchstone, those guys.
How many times have we mentioned Touchstone?
Well, I know, but now they're like official. That's the thing. So we talked about it at the beginning before. I don't know. I don't know how I think we found out about them on Twitter. And
I don't know. You dug them up from somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I found them on Twitter the first time. So, and then they just had some announcement in E-Times. They had all this press release stuff, and so they're like one of those fabless companies. Same thing. And so now they're second sourcing. I don't know.
They're second sourcing Maxim parts. It's not that exciting news. I'm sorry. It's
it's not exciting. It's interesting though because all their people came from Maxim. So I would just think this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. I talked to one of their guys there, and really nice guy. He told me all about like what they're doing and stuff, and they're obviously targeting their very targeted market or whatever, but. Yeah, if you're coming from Maxim, you'd think you'd shoot for someone else's knees,
right.
Maybe they've got a grudge. I don't know. So
no, I can certainly understand that if you come from a company and you didn't think that they did it right in some way, and I could, your goal would be to take them on. Yeah,
that's interesting. And I mean, I'm not saying this is the way it is, but we've talked about it on here before. Maxim parts have been historically hard to get. Maybe not anymore. I'm not speaking about that.
No, because they changed their slogan and everything's fixed now, right?
Right, yeah, innovation delivered, right? But if that is the case, and if those are the knees you're shooting for, maybe they are shooting for the right knees. But I don't know. First time I read that...
It would be ironic if you can't buy the Touchstone semi parts. Please tell me you can actually buy the Touchstone
Right, they're just like
parts.
These poison parts.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Anyway, I won't say you can't get Touchstone parts. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, so they're grown up, and they got funding too. That's another thing they wrote about when there was a big press release. They got Series A funding, whatever the hell that means, out the Silicon Valley.
Sure, it's important. Yep, sounds serious.
Money rocks. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cool, but I don't.
Yeah, it's a tough gig though. It's a tough gig trying to start up any sort of semiconductor manufacturer
like that. I can't imagine starting a company in the first place. So starting a chip company is.
Oh, I know. It's just
a whole other game.
Because it's so important when you work in the industry to pick established parts from a big name manufacturer.
Yeah.
Like you'll get almost fired if you buy some little one hung low brand.
Right, so
if you actually spec in a one hung low brand part into your design, it's just so
exactly.
risky.
If you went and designed this thing you're working on, right? So if you went and went with one of those manufacturers that say you picked the Freescale part, you said Freescale's making an A to D, right?
They
make one A to D. If they turn around tomorrow because they're doing all these internal changes and they say, "Oh, we're not making that anymore," you're up a creek without a paddle, right? I mean, like you're screwed. So it's the same. That's the same risk that any new company takes, right? It's like, well,
that's right.
we can deliver. Okay.
This is what we talked about when we first talked about Touchstone. We said that they have to differentiate themselves by having a part that absolutely is so unique, nobody else has, that you've got no choice but to design that part in.
Yeah.
And then it's fine. If you come down, your specs to get your product to the market need this chip. There's no other chip on the market that does it. Well, fine, spec it in. But I don't know. But just doing second source Maxim parts, well, that can't hurt. So
yeah,
especially when Maxim probably still don't deliver their innovation. I don't know. I'm not going to claim.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I haven't bought Maxim parts in a while, so.
Yeah, same here. Or if I have, they've just been in prototype quantities
right,
and,
right.
I haven't cared about it. Because you could always get prototype. That was the thing with Maxim. They would do the best prototype service in the industry. You could always get their parts.
Yep.
But then when you tried to buy, 100,000 of them, you're screwed.
We'll have to try and talk to a Maxim person sometime to let them settle the score. We could duke it out on the air or something.
Oh, but then we'd end up with just all the spin that they'd tell you, and I'd be throwing up on air, and it wouldn't be pretty. Sorry, people, if you're eating.
Yeah. Oh well.
Let's get on to CAD, shall we?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a new announcement from Design Spark, who we've mentioned on here before. And I think it's kind of cool, actually.
I haven't tried it yet, but I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, they just released a new converter tool, and I don't think it's built in, but it basically
a separate tool, right?
Yeah, and so when they rolled out version 2, we talked about version 2 when they rolled that out.
That's right.
But they are now having it so that you can take the 3D viewer that they rolled in version 2, and now you can export that to Google SketchUp format. So now you can go throw it in your Google SketchUp drawing, and then I searched around a little bit. And
what advantage does that give you? It allows you to rotate it and I don't know, can the 3D tool, how powerful is the 3D tool in the new Design Spark 2? Is it? I don't know.
I've used it. I tried out their, I got it installed and I tried it out and everything. And, you can do 3D viewing and everything. I don't think there was any kind of...
So what's the advantage of exporting to SketchUp?
Well, before you couldn't export at all. So before it was just view it, and now you can actually export to any kind of form. Now you can actually export it. I believe you couldn't actually export the 3D view before. Okay. So that alone is a good thing. And then also it's into SketchUp format, which... if people are using free Design Spark software, they probably also want to use free SketchUp software. Right. And so by my estimate with that, and, now if you have a SketchUp mechanical drawing, you can actually use a different plugin for the SketchUp now, and you can actually export to a 3D printing format. So you could, in theory, if you got your boards printed by like the Dorkbot PDX guys, for a cheap board with cheap parts on it, and then you 3D printed your actual mechanical segment, I'm guessing you could probably make an entire prototype for less than $100.
Right.
It might take a lot of work, and it might not be the prettiest thing in the world.
Oh, okay, right. I'm getting the thing with this, right? You can export your board in 3D, and then I guess the idea, once you've got that in Google SketchUp,
yes,
then you can use Google SketchUp as a CAD tool to design your case around that board.
Yes.
And then export it. Right, okay. Because there's no point actually importing the board. You can't do anything extra in it in SketchUp.
No,
but, to the actual board itself, because you've already got to have the 3D parts in the Design Spark software in the first place for your components. So, it's a bit of a chicken and egg thing there. So you've got to have those 3D things first.
There's no backwards compatibility.
And but then your finished board, and then you can use SketchUp to actually design a case or something. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
And that's all assuming,
Very cool.
SketchUp itself, I think you have to have a pro license to actually export to the really useful formats, like things that...
That's what I heard, yeah.
Design
which
houses
is pretty disappointing.
Allow you to use. Well. But in terms of 3D printing, there's a plugin called CADspan, and you can use that in order to 3D print. So if you had like a MakerBot or something like that, I think that format, there's a lot of dot 3 letters, right?
Yeah.
So dot XXX, whatever it would be. You can actually then export that to that a 3D printer can use, and then you could, in theory, print out an enclosure for your circuit board, which you could also do that at home too. I mean, if you're doing chemical etching, you can do that at home too, which has got its own bit of coolness. So, or if you're doing not chemical etching, but like copper routing, which is what I've done before. You ever done routing? You ever done that kind of stuff?
Not routing with the actual machines like the LPKF
or is
machines.
It milling?
If I've
I guess
said
it's
that
milling.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's actually milling. Yeah.
Yeah. I like doing that because there's no chemicals.
Yeah, I know. It's not. I bet it makes a hell of a but all the fiberglass, you wouldn't want to breathe it in. All that fiberglass.
You kidding me?
Shit in the air.
I love it.
Right.
Gets me messed up.
Down in old Cleveland, Ohio, we love that stuff.
Then I go take a dip in the Cuyahoga, light myself on fire. Yeah, I'm good for the day.
And I spray myself with DDT.
Yep. We run on pollution here.
I'm chewing up my grass.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Let's get more. Let's get more accents coming out of you, Dave.
Right. No, sorry. That's about all I do.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. So, but it's a good step forward. I mean, I don't know if this is actually officially from. I mean, Design Spark announced it. I'm not sure if it's actually through them. That's them and Allied, who actually owns Design Spark, at least in the U.S. So RS,
right? Allied, RS. Yeah, who knows how all that
who
big
cares?
corporate stuff works? Everyone owns everyone else.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But how much? I don't know what their market penetration is with this Design Spark. To me, it appears to be almost zip.
It's hard to say.
I just don't see anyone out there using it. I don't know why. The Eagle's too entrenched.
Yeah, it's pretty new though too. I mean, like,
yeah, it is pretty new.
If they keep developing
and they sort of came in a bit late, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, Eagle's been around, 15 years? I mean, like, maybe 15 years from now. I mean, like we've said before on here, the Design Spark stuff's free, so that's a pretty good starter,
Yep. And it's free for any size board.
Right.
And here's the kick, because I've got to choose I want to choose a new PCB package soon.
Yes.
I want to move away from Altium for my open source stuff because I don't know. I just get the impression that I'm going to be laughed at if I release an open source hardware product and here's the design files, they're in Altium.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see you later, Dave.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it actually matters because there's very few people. Everyone talks about, open source hardware, and everyone goes out and uses the files. And we've talked about this before, and that's just bullshit, right? There's only like a couple of % of people who actually will go out there and want to recompile their own source code and design their own board and all that sort of stuff, Right. Whereas the vast majority of people will just want to buy a kit or something like that. And it's open source because it's cool, and they just know it's open source, and, maybe one day they might want to tweak it or something, but, yeah. So when it comes down to the actual practicality of it, does it actually matter if the files are in Altium format? Probably not, I mean, and we're not talking big designs here, big complicated designs, 20, 30 parts. If you want to lay it out in your own package, it only takes you a few hours.
Right,
It's not a...
Well, schematics are all there, and I mean, eventually,
exactly.
And you crank out the Gerbers too. So if people actually want to, manufacture
exactly. If people want to just make their own board, the Gerbers are there.
Right,
that's right. So
it's about evolutionary design stuff. Where if someone wanted to add on to your design because it is open source, then
exactly. So and I don't know. So please leave in the comments which package do you think I should use? Eagle, Design Spark, or one of the open source ones, KiCad. Jita, probably not. Yeah, it's actually called KiCad. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And Jita, probably not, because it's apparently quite hard to... it doesn't have a nice GUI interface. I want a nice, simple, dumbass interface. And I don't care about Linux. Please don't give me the Linux line, but you can use Eagle on Linux and Windows. I don't give a shit. Really. I don't care. I'm sorry.
At least you're upfront about it. That's good.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter to me. But Eagle, I don't know. I'm just hesitant because there's those limitations. We've had the free Eagle campaign, the Freeagle campaign here on the Amp Hour before, which worked a treat, didn't it, Chris?
That frizzled.
Right. Well, it started again. Freeagle. I just hate their options for doing the thing. Like, I would have to go in and spend, if my board's bigger than 80 by 100 millimeters, which isn't that big, right, or more than 2 layers, I've got to spend $500, right, which is quite a reasonable chunk of money. And then I'm still limited in size. Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
So if I want to make one long, thin, tiny board, which is less surface area than one big 100 millimeters by 80 millimeters, I've got to pay for the $1,000 package. And that's... I don't know. I know everyone loves Eagle because it's the tool of choice in the open source hardware industry. But, I just don't like their options. So, I don't know. Which one should I choose? Please, tell me.
Yeah, let them know. I was having an interesting conversation on Twitter the other day, talking about Robert Davidson.
You live your life on Twitter, don't you?
I don't live my life on Twitter. Stop.
You do too.
Please. I get into it sometimes, but I don't live my life on there. Come on now. So me and Robert Davidson, though, we're talking about open source projects, and he was asking he asked me directly, like, if there's any like really big ones, and I couldn't think of any like large scale on the same scale as like a Linux, where it's collaborative over time and it just kind of keeps building on itself like that. And it doesn't seem like I told him I don't think that hardware's as capable of doing something that big, because if it's a single board, you get more than 3 or 4 designers on it, and it's just gonna splinter.
Oh, it just falls to shit. Yeah.
So if anything, it would need to be really big, right? It would have to be like, like an open source telescope.
It'd have to be a subsystem based, modular based thing. Yeah,
yeah, because
and they don't work either, because they end up being too clunky and expensive and big and just not optimized.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I talked about too, is like the fact that if you have to pay for, I mean, like with like software developers, right? There's time. Obviously, there's time involved in it, and that's expensive. But then on top of that, if you have to have a material thing in front of you, right? So if every developer then has to pay $500 to buy and build up some boards, then that becomes prohibitive pretty quick too. So I don't know. I would be cool though. I mean, like if there was like an open source MRI, or I mean, because you said, it would have to be something with a lot of subsystems where people could.
Well, the holy grail is the open source hardware industry is an open source hardware pick and place machine. Everyone's talking about it, but nobody does it because they realize, oh shit, it's just too hard. It's too many mechanical things, and it's big and complex and massive and expensive, and
Well, yeah, a lot of pick and place and those kind of three-dimensional moving things is usually stepper motors, right? Isn't that kind of the crux of it too? So it's not necessarily
that's right. And then the pick and place is something. You always see on Hackaday or something. There's always somebody's done their little pick and place thing, and they get like a vacuum pump from a little fish pond or something, and they can pick up one part and they can move it. But that's next to useless. You've got to have something that handles the reels. That feeds in all that stuff is complicated to feed in the components from reels. There's a reason why these machines cost upwards of $10,000 is because they're complicated.
Yeah.
In their feed-in mechanisms and stuff like that. It's not trivial. And then you've got to have vision to do it. You've got to have the vision camera, and it's got to do all that sort of stuff. And when you get down to the fine detail of it, and it ain't easy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's not a reason not to do something, but it's...
Oh, no, of course not, but, it's not something that somebody's going to magically solve overnight, because, you have to get the components off those reels, right? There's no point you having to sort all your components onto some little tray yourself manually or onto the bench, or individually pick up each one yourself and align it. The whole idea of a pick and place is that you load in the reels, you program your machine, you push the button, end of story. That's it, Anything else is just a toy, really. It's just a time waster.
Yeah.
So you may as well hand solder. Or hand pick and place, sorry. So you do your paste stencil, and then you just,
and you just pop them on
individually
there,
place your...
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Somebody prove me wrong, please, but like the 3D printer thing, I don't think I'm wrong.
Well, and
there's
also
just many complexities involved.
If people know about any large-scale open source projects, I mean, open source hardware projects, that would be interesting to me. I mean, I quoted like Arduino, but even that was defined at once, and it's more of the
that's
uptake.
A trivial project. Arduino is a little tiny board with bunch of software.
Right, but it's been the software that's been the collaborative kind of open source side of things,
that's
right? I couldn't think of any large scale hardware stuff that's been open source and collaborative like that. But maybe there is stuff out there.
Somebody might pull Chumby out of their ass or something like that. But
yeah, but even that's mostly. I mean, there was people working on that. That's done by a
small group of a couple of guys. That's done by what's his name?
Bunny.
I forget his name. Bunny Huang. Yeah. Whatever his name is. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's basically done by him and maybe a couple of core people,
support staff and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So, and they had venture funding for that, I think, or some sort of funding.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it did. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. It's just stuff costs. Software's easy because it doesn't cost anything but your time. When people have to actually fork out $1,000 for some prototype bits, then they really think twice.
Yep.
So I don't know. Is open source hardware, large scale open source hardware projects doomed in that respect? They're just not really possible because no one is going to pony up the money.
Right. Or what you do
I'm
is
sure it would have happened by now. Maybe there is a good example. I don't know.
I would love to hear it. I think maybe more so you have like the Arduino and the open standard kind of open source projects, right? And then you leave it up to people to actually do the integration. So
maybe in the quadcopter scene or something like that, the RC. I know there's lots of
that's true.
stuff going on there.
But usually those are single board too, because when you start getting into when you get more than 2 or 3 boards in a system too, it gets expensive quick.
Yep. Well, what would be our definition of a big open source benchtop oscilloscope? How's that? I don't know.
Yeah, but those are usually single board when they're at the hobbyist price level.
They're probably, when it comes down to it, you could do it all on a single
because
board.
that's how you
you're
save
talking
cost.
a big complex system. Well, I don't know. What's a good example? If you've got a good example, let us know.
I do not know.
Or if you've got a real example where it's actually happened.
Yeah. I would hope that would be all of them, not just like a potential.
And we would want it done by more than just 1 or 2 people with a lot of money on their hands. I want it done by...
And a non-commercial venture. Well, not necessarily non-commercial.
And a non-commercial venture where that, just done for the sheer joy of it,
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. I doubt it.
So,
but I'm willing to be proven wrong.
Robots? You were talking about pick and place. That's like a robot, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course, it's a robot.
Yeah. So there's a Spectrum article about this. There was a new robot initiative, at least in the U.S. And there's this press conference. It's kind of funny, actually. Obama was talking about one of his jobs is to keep an eye on robots. And when he said, you might not know this, but one of my responsibilities as commander-in-chief is to keep an eye on robots. And I'm pleased to report that robots here at least seem peaceful, at least for now.
Cool. All right, that's pretty cool.
That was funny, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Kudos to that speechwriter, because that was a speechwriter.
Okay, yeah, it's good. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he doesn't write his own shit, I'm sure.
So I like the initiative. It wasn't a lot of dough. It's only $70 million, which I know that's a lot of money.
Chump change.
Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, even with robots, I mean, you could have robots that cost $70 million. So
each, easy.
It's good to start there, but I don't know. The focus is good, but I don't know if it'll actually be... This isn't going to be the last thing they have to do with it. They need to keep pushing money towards the robot sector.
Right.
And, but man.
Well, that's a tough push because, all these robots have, killed the car industry for workers and stuff like that. It's a pretty tough sell to say.
I know. It's like, hey, we need jobs,
robots, but that take our jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, brilliant. And especially too because when you say that, and then there's this uptake of robots, right? So like the car manufacturers say, okay, well, we're going to start using robots because that's a good idea, and we'll have like maintenance techs that need to work on the robots and everything, and we'll be able to produce X amount more dollars, whatever. But the problem is then you get like these low cost manufacturers that come in and build decent robots, and those get put in. And apparently, and then at the end, it's just robots in a U.S. manufacturing plant that have been built in China, and now they're just building cars locally. So that's the only downside. But I don't know if that's not really the a reason to stand in the way of robots, because I think there's a lot of promise there, and it drives a lot of good technology.
Did he mention specifics of what kind of, are we talking, personal home assistant robots, or...
They were talking a lot about
or just more military shit. Surely it's not military shit. $70 million wouldn't even buy you a spanner in the military world.
Yeah. No, they're talking about manufacturing operations, I believe, because they were talking about like a line worker in a manufacturing plant then actually teaching a robot, like a learning robot, which then learns this
that learns the person's skill and then makes them redundant.
Then the idea would be that the person is then, would watch over many robots, and you can up productivity and everything. But yeah,
I'm sorry, this has got fail written all over it.
Yeah, well,
this campaign has just
It's tough. I mean, even in the best case scenario, right, where maybe you add robots in it, you don't kill anyone's jobs or anything else like that. You just increase productivity. But even still, like, there's only it's kind of like a pyramid effect.
When you increase productivity, headcount drops.
Exactly.
Because the company there is no way out of it.
Right.
Anytime you introduce robots into any form of technology into any form of job, jobs will go. That's just
I mean, think about garbage collection,
right? They don't introduce the technology to make it more complex, so you need more people to operate.
Right.
No, that's not the goal of any company that makes money.
Yeah.
So I can't see a winning move in this game.
Well, I mean, I think they keep pushing the fact that you can have people that are working on robots and everything else,
and
like that.
It creates jobs, and somebody's got to design and build the robots, and
But I think the realistic way to look at that is that I don't think the robots should be designed here. Like in the end, even maybe they'd be designed here, but the robots themselves wouldn't be manufactured here. And at that point, I don't know what the end game is, but I like robots. I think they're cool, so I applaud it.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right.
But
robots are cool. We will admit that here on the Amp Hour.
Yeah.
Anything robot based will get mentioned.
Yeah. So they're talking about here's the list: advanced manufacturing, logistics, services, transportation, homeland security, defense, medicine, healthcare, space exploration, environmental monitoring, and agriculture. And so basically that's every job that people in the U.S. have right now.
Right.
McDonald's workers, farmers, highway workers, construction workers. Yep. But we're not there yet, so don't worry about it, folks.
We're fine.
Yeah. Eat your TV dinners.
Do the rules of robotics still apply? Has Obama...
the 3 rules? Yeah.
The Asimov's 3 rules still apply? It's been confirmed by Obama, has it?
I don't know. Yeah. Well,
we have a new...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, we have a new... Let's get away from that.
Yeah, let's run away.
We've only got like 8 minutes left, 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
We have a new segment here on the Amp Hour.
We do. I'm excited about this one. So what is it?
I don't know. You put it on here.
Oh, come on. I was going to let you announce it, though.
History of what on this day in...
This day in nerd
electronics.
History.
Is it just nerd history, or is it electronics
It'll practically be electronics history, but we'll say nerd history in case there's something really cool.
As says, there's something cool, like the first robot or something.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Because that would be like mechatronic, kind of, not necessarily just electronics, right?
Yeah, okay. Just cool, nerdy shit.
Exactly, yeah. Well, yeah, and electronics bent to it. So
this day in nerd, is that the official
this day
title
in nerd,
of the segment?
This nerd history.
This day in nerd. There you go.
Yeah. And we get the benefit, the thing that I like about it is we get the benefit that it is simultaneously June 26th here and June 27th there. So...
sorry, dude, it's actually June 28th here.
Oh, no! Oh, crap, I got my days wrong. Oh, no, the good one was on the 26th. Well, you know what?
He screwed up the segment. He can't, not only can he not get his time zones right, but he's now out by complete days. He's lost the plot, people.
Oh, damn it.
It's the 28th here in Sydney.
Oh, well, I'm going to see if I can find one now. Oh, man.
Watch Chris pull a
wiki article on my butt.
And historical fact out of his ass.
Yep.
Here we go.
Okay.
In real time.
All right, so I'm still going to talk about the 26 one because this one was cool. I had started looking at like people like definitely one of the coolest things you could do on Wiki is kind of look through there's a whole section on like electrical engineers and like where they're from and all this other stuff. And so I was looking at that at first, and one of the coolest ones that popped up was actually this guy who's not an electrical engineer, but he's a computer scientist, and his name is Maurice Wilkes. And so obviously one of the things that's going to happen is that people will pop up when it's their birthday, or in this case, I guess it was their birthday. They also list like deaths, so they pop up like that too, which I guess is just as relevant, but not necessarily. But this guy, Maurice Wilkes, he's a UK computer scientist, and he's from back in the days when computers were actually, like electronics that you piece together, and like, we're talking like 1945. Yeah. That's like when he started, or I guess it's 40s and 50s, really, really early stuff. So, he's
the winner of the Turing Award, the Faraday Medal.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, tons of stuff. And, like just people that I've never heard of this guy before, right?
I've heard of him.
Oh, you have?
Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. I'm not too well read up on this stuff, but basically he's credited with tons of like microcontroller type stuff. So he's credited with ideas of symbolic labels, macros, subroutines. There's a picture of him on this wiki page, and I'll link it in there. But like mercury delay lines, which I'm guessing was used as a memory element in like early computers. And that's just, that's really cool,
And he worked on one of the first computers, the EDSAC.
Yeah.
Which is an acronym for...
What is it?
The Electronic Delay Storage Automatic Calculator.
There you go. Yeah. So that's a big deal when you start having memory. I'm sure people remember from their early digital design days or like if you're learning that stuff in school. One of the biggest parts of any computer is just having any kind of memory element, right? So being able to store value is really, really important. And this guy had to figure this stuff out.
Or the architecture, like the von Neumann architecture and stuff like that. So,
yeah. So this guy's
a big deal.
Definitely cool.
So
definitely.
that's the...
That was June 26th, but I'm going to let
June
it slide.
26th, so you were completely out.
Oh, man. I can't believe I got
Australia,
the day wrong.
2 days out, dude.
Yeah, sorry.
That's massive.
The one I had for the 27th, and of course in the future this would just be 2 days and only one if there's nothing good. But
now, you have to visualize me here just doing the face palm,
Yeah.
Just going, slapping my forehead and, yeah.
What? When,
anyway,
when I do this? What? Whatever, man. At least I put it on there.
All right, granted.
Yeah.
If you're going to put it on there, get it right.
Well, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. 27th, though, this is a cool one, too. So June 27th, and back in 1895, one of the first electric locomotives went from Washington to New York. So that's a big deal, too, because that was like the precursor for a lot of like railway systems and everything else. So not necessarily the first one, but definitely one of the first big ones. And we'll post an article to electric locomotives. Obviously, there's a lot of cool stuff with those, but that's a more mechanical kind of thing. So I don't know. I thought that was cool. And if you want to hear the one I was going to pull out of my butt,
go for it.
Yeah. Let's see. In 1883, on June 28th, was the first central electricity power station in Europe. So that was in Milan.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's a long time ago. 1883.
Are there any stats on that? Like how much power it was, No?
No?
I
don't think so.
Or it was just a guy there with 2 bits of wire and he shorted it together. That was that was the power substation.
Yeah.
Or there was just a big knife switch, one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, like in the old like Frankenstein movies and everything like that. Just thump that down. Yep. Man, 1883 though, that's pretty crazy. And so that was probably
that is way old.
That must have been like a chemical battery based substation or something, because Tesla had that was like where they had,
I don't know, did they have generators? Did they have generating motors back then?
Yeah, I'm trying to
generating
think.
Powers from motors. I don't know. I don't know my timeline on that.
Yeah, when Tesla started doing like the AC motor stuff. Didn't get that far back. Yeah.
I think this segment needs more research.
Yeah. let's see, 82. He started working for on his generator stuff. So, I don't know if that might have been then. So 86, he formed his company, Tesla Electric Lighting and Manufacturing. So that could have been one of the first installations out there. So that's pretty cool. Anyway,
well done.
That last one was not fair because I totally pulled that one out of my butt. So,
but you had to because you goofed it up.
I got the days wrong.
You got to fix it.
We all know that my deal with time is not very good. I always get the time wrong. Whenever you and I whenever there's a time change, I always mess it up. So
bloody daylight saving.
I know, right?
Yeah, bloody different countries. It's it's that American thing, you know. Outside the US doesn't exist. So
outside the US outside my head doesn't really exist most of the days for me. That's just ego and cluelessness. And lack of attention. So yeah. How
sounds familiar.
Speaking of time, how are we doing on our amp hour?
Capacity's up 1 hour.
Is it
21 seconds? Yep.
Damn.
We're up. But then again, we always go over. Do we have anything extra to put in?
That last tidbit. Yeah.
Because we always we go, the hour's up, but we'll just throw this in.
Here's one crappy one. So this is not electronics.
Let's a shit one.
Yeah, this is not electronics related, but I saw this article this week on this company is saving Facebook data from everybody in order to for future companies looking at your so say Dave, you post something on Facebook like Chris is the biggest asshole in the world and I never work for him, and then I go to a company or I start hiring for a job. And I'm like, oh, Dave Jones seems like a good candidate. Can you do? I go to a firm and say, can you do some background research? This company's saving everybody's data. Apparently, I don't know how.
Right. So they just suck it off. This is a third-party company, right?
Yeah. So they receive FTC approval basically in order to screen these posts.
And of course, the government gave it to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Because Facebook is not Google indexable, is it?
I don't. I think top level public stuff is like
public
pages.
stuff, but no, yeah, obviously. Well, they can't suck the private stuff, surely.
Right.
They cannot. Please tell me they're not sucking the private stuff.
I don't think so, but either way,
that's only between you and your friends.
Yeah, either way, that sucks. Although, so real quick, because I think we should talk about this before it becomes passé, but I'm sure we'll be able to talk about it next week more too. But and this is totally different than the Facebook thing. U.S. is switching patent systems, so it just got passed in the House. So basically, though, it's just switching
one train wreck to another.
Yeah, right.
All right. Shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah, right.
Name your cliche. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll probably hear more about it next week because it's not actually signed into law yet. But basically, the U.S. is talking about going from first to invent to first to file, like the rest of the world does. So
right,
there's that.
Which means we don't need any more lab books.
Yes, that is nice.
And if you're not aware, if you've ever worked in a big company or something like that, you're probably familiar with the engineering lab book. Everything you do,
you have to
carry around this lab book, and you have to write everything in it. It proves that you did it and you have to date each page.
And you have to have it someone understands it and they note it and whatever, or sign it.
So just to prove that, sign in, we didn't sign ours, but we just... Oh, no, sometimes you would sign it yourself, but you wouldn't have to have a witness or anything like that. Maybe if it was something really super-duper important, wow, I just came up with the next world-changing widget, you know.
Yeah.
You would get 20 people to authorise that it was done on this date, and
and then it never goes
stuff
through.
Like that. But the engineering lab book, I can remember that the company I used to work for, they used to fly halfway across the country for a day and then come back, to our other facility over there. And so they used to grab their their red engineering notebook, jump in a cab, hop on the plane, go fly halfway across the country, go to a meeting, come back, and all they'd carry around is their red engineering lab book.
That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, so that's
insane. Anyway, yes.
So I'm sure we'll hear more about that, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it still has to pass and everything else, and it's still just the U.S., but.
Who cares? It's still going to be a shit system.
Yeah,
so,
that's exactly right.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Really?
Still patents.
Yep.
Still got to defend them in court and everything.
Yep.
All
and
right.
that involves lawyers.
Yeah. Yep.
And we needn't say any more.
Nope. But we will say more next week on the Amp Hour.
As we always do.
Yeah.
We're here every week.
Yeah, we'll be back then.
For twice the fun.
Yeah. We'll talk to you guys then.
See ya.
Surely you figured it out once you heard the outro music, right? Surely.